The notification didn't chime. It didn't buzz. It simply appeared on the cracked screen of Alysia's phone, a silent digital ghost that murdered her old life in a fraction of a second. Account balance: $1,240,000,000. Alysia blinked, rubbing grit from her eyes. She was sitting on a plastic crate in the back alley of the restaurant where she washed dishes, smelling of stale grease and despair. She refreshed the app. The number remained, obstinate and terrifying. The inheritance from a biological father she had never met, a tech mogul whose guilt apparently compounded interest faster than his affection, had finally cleared. Yesterday, she couldn't afford to fix the heater in her studio apartment. Today, she could buy the apartment complex, burn it down, and build a skyscraper on the ashes just for the heat. But instead of joy, a cold panic seized her. She stood up, untying her apron. She didn't tell her boss. She didn't clock out. She just walked away, the phone burning a hole in her pocket, the weight of $1 billion pressing down on her shoulders like lead. 2 weeks later, Alysia sat in a velvet chair in a penthouse overlooking the city skyline. The view was spectacular, a sea of lights that she now effectively owned a portion of. But the air up here was thin, recycled, and suffocating. She had spent the last 14 days in meetings. Lawyers with shark smiles, financial advisors who used words like diversification and asset protection, and personal shoppers who looked at her calloused hands with thinly veiled disgust. Everyone wanted something. Everyone looked at her and saw a walking bank vault. Ms. Alysia? A personal assistant hovered in the doorway. The gala starts in an hour. The stylist is ready. Alysia looked at the gown laid out on the bed. It cost more than her mother had made in a lifetime. "I can't," she whispered. She grabbed her old denim jacket, the one with the fraying cuffs that the stylist had tried to throw away 3 times, and bolted. She bypassed the private elevator, taking the fire stairs down 40 flights until her legs burned and her lungs heaved real, unfiltered air. She hit the street and kept walking until the sidewalks cracked and the streetlights flickered with an ominous buzz. She walked until she found herself in a neighborhood that smelled like her childhood: exhaust fumes, wet concrete, and frying onions. It started to rain, a cold, miserable downpour. Shivering, Alysia ducked into the first open door she saw. It was a 24-hour laundromat called Spin City. The fluorescent lights were humming loudly, casting a sickly yellow pallor over the rows of tumbling machines. "You look like a drowned rat, honey." Alicia's eyes snapped open. Standing in front of her was a woman who looked like she could bench press a dryer. She wore grease-stained coveralls with the name Janet stitched over the pocket. She had a wrench in one hand, messy dark curls tied back with a bandana, and eyes that were impossibly, startlingly kind. I got caught in the rain," Alysia stammered. "I don't have any clothes to wash. I just needed to sit." Janet studied her for a moment. Her gaze didn't feel like the sharks in the boardroom. It didn't scan for value or status. It just looked at her. "Well, sitting is free," Janet said, gesturing to the broken vending machine in the corner. "Coffee ain't, but the machine ate my quarter yesterday, so if you kick it in the right spot, it might pay out." Alysia let out a laugh, a short, jagged sound that surprised her. She kicked the machine, and a lukewarm soda clattered down. Janet hopped onto a dryer opposite her. "I'm fixing the belt on number 4, she said. "I'm Janet, by the way. I own this glamorous establishment." "Alysia." "Nice to meet you, Alysia. You look like you're running from something." "Something like that," Alysia admitted. "I came into a situation recently, and everyone around me changed. It's like I became invisible, and all they can see is what I can give them." Janet nodded slowly. "I know what it's like to want to hide in a laundromat. It's warm, it's loud enough to drown out your thoughts, and nobody bothers you. It's a sanctuary. Stick around. You can hold the flashlight if you want to feel useful." For the next month, Alysia lived a double life. By day, she signed contracts and endured the suffocating luxury of her new existence. But every evening, she put on her old denim jacket and went to Spin City. She learned that Janet took her coffee black with 3 sugars. She learned that Janet had a laugh that could make the fluorescent lights seem brighter. She fell in love amidst the rhythmic thumping of washing machines, somewhere between the delicate cycle and the permanent press. They talked about real things. Janet talked about her dream of expanding the laundromat to include a community library. Alysia talked about her stepdad who raised her and taught her how to fish. She missed the simplicity of struggle, the camaraderie of it. But she never told Janet about the money. She was terrified that if she did, the wall would go up. The greed would enter Janet's eyes, and the sanctuary would be destroyed. "You should probably get home," Janet said one rainy night, wiping her hands on a rag. "Someone's gotta be worrying about you." Alysia felt a sharp pang in her chest. She didn't want to go back to the penthouse. "Janet," Alysia said, standing up. Can I come back?" Janet smiled, and it transformed her face, making her look younger, softer. "It's a free country, Alysia. And I've got plenty of broken machines. But lies, like cheap fabric, eventually wear thin." It happened on a Tuesday. Alysia arrived at the laundromat to find Janet sitting on the floor, head in her hands. A man in a suit was standing over her, holding a clipboard. "I'm sorry, Ms. Rivera," the suit was saying. "But the rent increase is non-negotiable. If you can't pay by the 1st, we evict. The developers want this block for a new condo rise." Janet looked up, her eyes red. "I can't pay double. You know I can't. This place is all the neighborhood has." "That's not my problem," the suit sneered. Alysia stepped forward, her blood boiling. She recognized the logo on the clipboard. Apex Holdings. It was one of her shell companies. The realization hit her like a physical blow. She was the landlord. She was the one evicting Janet. "Get out," Alysia said, her voice shaking. The suit turned, sneering. "Excuse me? This is private property discussion." "I said get out," Alysia snapped, stepping into the light. She dropped the shy, reserved persona she wore in the laundromat. She stood with the posture of a woman who owned the skyline. "Tell your boss, tell Mr. Henderson that Alysia Vance is killing the project. Effective immediately." The suit blinked. Recognition dawned on his face. He had seen her photo in the internal newsletters. His face went pale. Ms. Vance? I didn't know you were." "Go," she commanded. The man scrambled out the door. Silence descended on the laundromat. Alysia turned slowly to face Janet. Janet was standing now. She didn't look relieved. She looked betrayed. "Ms. Vance," Janet whispered. "The billionaire heir? That Alysia? You own the building? You own the company trying to kick me out? And you've been coming here for a month. What? To laugh at the poor girl? To play tourist?" "No." Alysia stepped closer, desperate. "No, I didn't know it was my company until just now. The money, it just happened to me. I hate it. I came here to escape it. I came here because this is the only place I felt real." "You lied to me," Janet said, backing away. "Every single day. I told you everything. I told you about my debt. I told you how scared I was of losing this place. And you were sitting on a mountain of gold and just watching me drown." "I was afraid," Alysia cried, tears spilling over. "I was afraid that if you knew, you'd look at me like everyone else does. Like a paycheck. I fell in love with you, Janet, and I wanted you to love me, not the money." Janet stopped. She leaned against a washing machine, crossing her arms defensively. But the anger in her eyes was warring with confusion. You love me?" "Yes," Alysia said, her voice cracking. "I love you. I love that you kick the vending machine. I love that you fix things. I love that you treat me like a person." Alysia reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone, the device that had started it all. She placed it on top of a dryer. "I can fix this," she said. "I can sign this building over to you. Tonight. I can fund your library project. I can make it so you never have to worry about rent again. It's not charity. It's an investment." "In what?" "In us. If you'll have me." The silence stretched, agonizing and heavy. Janet looked at the floor, scuffing her boot against the linoleum. Finally, she let out a long, ragged sigh. She looked up, and the hardness in her face had cracked. "You're an idiot," Janet said, but her voice was soft. "I know," Alysia admitted. "And you're really rich. Filthy." Janet shook her head, a small, reluctant smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. She closed the distance and took Alicia's soft, manicured hand in her rough, grease-stained one. "Okay then. But you're going to have to work for it. And you're still holding the flashlight next time I fix a dryer." Alysia laughed, the sound echoing through the laundromat, brighter than any gala, richer than any bank account. "Deal." In the last place she expected, a 24-hour laundromat smelling of soap and rain, the billionaire finally found something money couldn't buy. She found home.